Welcome. In this video, let's explore the browser, one of FL Studio's most important and often overlooked tools. You can open the browser with this button on the toolbar, or by pressing Alt and F8. From here, you can access projects, audio samples, local and online content packs, and FL Studio or third-party installed plugins. This video has a lot of menu diving, but before we get into that, we'll give you a rundown of the absolute basics, so if you watch this, you can get going right away. It's also a very long video, so if you want to know something specific, please use the video index in the video information to skip to the segment you want to know more about. The browser can be detached to a separate window or docked on the left or right side of the FL Studio desktop. Click and drag this area here to undock it. Now you can move it around the screen. Click and drag again and move it to either edge of your workspace to dock it again. If you're playing along and you've ended up in a bad spot, click on View, Arrange Windows, Realign. This will dock the browser to the left and bring all FL Studio windows back into view. The browser comes standard with 5 tabs: All, Project, Plugins, Library, and Start. All contains everything the browser can see: audio, plugins, projects, presets, and score files. What the browser can see is controlled by the File Settings tab, where the search folders are set. We'll look into this more in detail shortly. Project is for everything in your project: clips, channels, automation, that kind of thing. Plugins displays the FL Studio plugin database. We'll get into that later. Library is where you can find your extra content for FL Studio, online and local. And the Start tab is for favorites. You can also make your own tabs. That's another thing we'll talk about later. For now, we'll stay in the All tab. By default, you'll have a collection of folders already visible. Scores is for note data, chord progressions and quantized presets and the like. Backup holds backups for all projects that don't have a project folder. Press F11 to open the project general settings to set one. Once there is a project folder, backups are saved in a subfolder of the project folder. Packs is where your samples and loops live, and Impulses has reverb impulse sounds. Click on any type of content to preview it in the preview display. If the content you clicked is audio, FL Studio will play the file to pre-listen. When you're previewing a long file, you can shift-click in the waveform to start playing from that position. Drag and drop audio files, presets and plugins to a playlist track, mixer track or the channel rack to add them as a new channel. You can also send them to an existing channel via the right-click menu, more on that later, or selecting them in the browser and pressing Enter, or clicking them with your middle mouse button if you have such a thing. Select multiple items via Control-click. And for a continuous selection, Shift-click. Incidentally, drag and drop works in reverse too. Drag a sample from a sampler to the browser to have it show you where it's from in the folder structure. Use the search box to search for content. You can press Ctrl and F to automatically focus the search box as well. By default, it's located in the bottom left of the FL Studio interface. I much prefer it on top. This is where the menu diving starts. So let's go into the main browser menu. Here is where the search options live. Find Previous and Next. These options, accessible via F2 and F3, allow you to select the previous and next search result. Choose whether you want to show parent folders and search results. When this is on, the search results are organized by their parent folders. Turn off folders and search results completely by switching Search for Folders off. Here we go, search box on top will move the content search toolbar to the top of the browser. Much better. Now it's not crammed into a corner anymore. The Type to Filter option decides when FL Studio starts searching for content. When it's on, FL Studio will start immediately. When it's off, it will wait for a bit between keystrokes. Enable Indexing builds a file to improve the speed and depth of searches. When this is disabled, only the selected folder can be searched. Bear in mind that the larger your sample collection, the more RAM this will use by default. However, it's a small price to pay for much improved search speed. You can navigate to the next or previous selected item here. Instead of just navigating, you can send previous and next selected items to the selected channel with Shift and up arrow or Shift and down arrow. This will replace the current content in the selected channel and pattern. A great way to step through sounds and score files. Auto hide makes the browser auto hide and pop out when you move your mouse over the browser location, usually to the left of the screen. When the browser is docked, this moves the FL Studio workspace. When undocked, it will not affect the workspace when popping out. Auto contrast text applies high contrast to text in the browser. This is helpful when you're using a custom theme that reduces text contrast in the browser. Select how you want tabs to appear here. Automatic will automatically swap between icons and text depending on the width of the tabs. Icons always shows the tab icon and text always shows the tab name. By default, audio files clicked in the browser will play for 5 seconds maximum. Use full sample preview or press play on the preview player to override this and play the full sample. Configure extra folders opens the file settings options. Use this to specify folders outside the standard folders that hold your plugins, samples, projects, etc. You can also drop any folder from your OS file browser onto the FL Studio browser and it will automatically be added to the list. Refresh plugin list quick scans for newly installed plugins without checking if they're a synth or an effect. Use this option to quickly add something to the various More Plugins menus in FL Studio. Minimize reduces the browser to the caption bar. Close closes the browser, as does Alt and F8. Left-click and drag the divider to change the width of the browser. The divider can snap to a second position. Move the divider to the desired location, then right-click to swap between the new and original location. File names obscured by the right edge of the browser can be read by placing the mouse cursor over the item. Hold Shift and roll your mouse wheel to increase browser zoom level and text size. These two options next to the main browser menu are helpful if you're lost in the browser. Collapse structure collapses all expanded folders in the browser window, and Reread structure refreshes the contents of all folders in the browser. Click this button to see any new files and folders that were created after FL Studio was started. Right-click on Tabs to open the Tab menu. These options can be applied independently for each tab. You can rename, color, and icon. Hide user-created tabs. Show hidden tabs. Delete the selected user-created tab. Clone tabs and move them left or right. Zoom changes the size of the font and spacing according to compact, normal, large, huge, and massive options. Or as we noted earlier, you can shift and roll your mouse wheel. Show only one folder content means only one folder will be open at a time. Deselect this if you want to have several folders open at the same time. Show folder icons displays an icon for each folder in the browser tree. Show images shows the plugin database plugin icons. Show preview refers to the preview panel at the bottom of the browser. Becomes visible when previewable content is selected. Show file extensions will show file extensions such as WAV, MP3, etc. Show unknown file types displays file types that are not natively supported by FL Studio. You may be able to drag and drop these on VST or AU plugins, for example. Frozen freezes the currently selected tab and protects it from change. The slot will display a tick mark when frozen. You can sort files by name, type, date, or group. The group option sorts folders or files according to the order specified by the NFO files in your patches folder. Title the NFO file the same as the item you want to sort. Then open the NFO file in a text editor and add the command sort group equals number. Greater numbers mean the item will be lower in the list, but anything you specify here will be listed above everything else that is not specified in an NFO file. View layout. Standard shows the folder structure and content in a single column. Tree opens a second column to show the content in folders when selected. Samples is the same as tree, but shows audio files as playable and visualized content. And plugins for the plugin database is the same as tree, but it will show plugins in a separate grid. Left-click on a folder to expand and collapse it. Hover the mouse over the name of a folder for a short description in the hint bar. Right-click on folders to show the folder menu. Expand and collapse all shows or hides all subfolders. Open a new tab will open the selected folder as its own tab. Add folder to tab lets you add the folder to your own tabs. These will show as options here. Change folder color and icon here. Windows Shell menu can open the operating system right-click folder options. This option is not available on macOS. You can also simply open the folder in the operating system browser. Depending on the content you right-click on, you will see different options. Most of these are specific to audio files. Send to selected channel or focused plugin will send the selected files to the selected channel or focused plugin. This action is accessible via middle click or pressing enter, as we noted earlier. Open a new channel opens the content in a new sampler channel. Unless it's a plugin or plugin preset, then FL Studio will make a new instance of that plugin and load the preset in a new channel. If the content is a plugin preset, you can also add it to the plugin database. That will add it to the main plugin database into the folder or folders that were last opened in the browser. When right-clicking audio files, you can select Edit in Audio Editor to open it in Edison, Edit in Pitch Corrector to open it in New Tone, Edit in Time Warper to open a new time, open a new sampler channel for a standard sampler channel, open a new Fruity Granulizer to load the file into Fruity Granulizer, open a new Fruity Slicer channel to make a new Fruity Slicer, or open a new SliceX channel to load the audio file in a new SliceX channel. Both the Slicer and SliceX options will also auto-dump notes to the piano roll in the selected pattern. Windows Shell menu does the same thing as it does for folders. Open Parent Folder opens the contents containing folder in the operating system browser. Locate File opens the contents parent folder in the operating system browser and scrolls the file into view. Delete File removes the file from your storage drive. There is a pop-up warning, so don't say we didn't warn you. Let's get into the tagging system. Favorite adds the content to the Start or Favorite tab. You can access this function by clicking the star to the right of the file name too. Tags shows a list of existing tags to select one for the content. Add a tag lets you type in a tag to add to the file. If the tag you typed in doesn't exist yet, a new one will be created. You can add multiple tags by separating them with a comma, e.g. typing kick, 808, C# will give the content 3 tags. Edit Tags lets you edit any existing tags for the selected content. FL Studio project files can be saved to one of two formats. First up, FLP. This is the standard way of saving FL Studio project files. To open, right-click and select Open. Middle-click the mouse wheel or drag and drop it on the FL Studio desktop. This will open the project and look for any samples and plugins used in it within the folder structure of the browser. The second way of saving FL Studio projects is as a zip project file. These open the same way, but contain all audio files used in the project as well, so when loading the project, FL Studio will look inside the zip file for any samples first, before it starts searching your drives. Let's explore the preview player in a little more detail. When you select previewable content, the preview player will appear in the browser. When it's audio, it will play a 5-second preview of the file. You can see sample rate, whether it's mono or stereo, and the bit depth on the preview too. You can press the play button to play the full-length audio file, and on mouse over, you'll see a preview volume control too. As noted earlier, shift-clicking in the waveform will start the preview from that point in the file. When the Read Sample Tempo Information option in the General Settings is selected and FL Studio is playing, BPM tagged audio files will preview time stretched to the project BPM. Click the Tags button to expand the search options. Here you can select specific tags. Click the Type button to search for file types. Any versus all will show either content with any or only content with all of the selected tags. The current project folder in the Project tab contains information and data associated with the currently loaded project, such as a list of patterns, automated controls, instruments, and an undo history list. History is where your undo steps will be stored. You can set how many undo steps to save in the file settings. Patterns contains a list of patterns, initialized controls, and event editor automation. The item subfolders contain the automated controls themselves. Click Patterns to open folders showing any piano roll or event automation data. Clicking on either of those will open the target piano roll or event editor. Effects lists all effects used in the project, which in turn will list all their parameters. Left-click and drag a parameter up and down to open a quick access parameter control. To automate a parameter, right-click it and select Create Automation Clip or Edit Events to draw automation. Generators lists all generators, instruments used in the project. It does not include the channel sampler, 3OSC or layer, but in all other respects, it works like the effects folder. Remote Control contains the list of controls that are linked to external MIDI or internal controllers. Left-click a link to open its Remote Control Settings dialog. Initialized controls are listed here. These are made by default when you automate a parameter. You can turn that off in the General Settings here. To initialize a control, right-click and select Init Song with this position. To delete initialized controls, right-click the control on the UI and select Delete Initial Value, or from the browser entry and select Delete Event. In the Plugins tab, you can manage your plugin database. Whatever you add here will show up in the plugin picker when you press F8. To see uncategorized plugins, go to the Effect or Generators subfolder in the Installed folder here. To add a plugin to the categorized database, open it from the Installed folder. Then open the category you want to sort the plugin into. Then on the plugin wrapper options up here, select Add to Plugin Database. You'll see a pop-up confirming that the plugin will be saved to the category you've opened. If you set a channel color or icon or make a preset for the plugin prior to adding as a favorite, that will be remembered next time you load the plugin from a favorite location. This is a great way to make an initialized patch for your favorite plugins too. If you don't care about plugin thumbnail images, you can also favorite plugins from a list using the FL Studio Plugin Manager. To remove plugins from the plugin database, right-click the item in the plugin database and select Delete File. You can also manually edit the plugin database. It is located in your user data folder. Right-click on the plugin database category and select Open. This will open a file browser window. Now go ahead and edit stuff. Notice the file structure matches what you can see in the browser. Then notice that there are 3 files for each item, or 2 if you didn't save a thumbnail. A bitmap file, an FST file, that's the default plugin preset, and an NFO, information for FL Studio. You can open this in any text editor. When you're customizing your database this deeply, it is highly recommended you back up the plugin database folder as a zip file to make sure you can restore it if something ever goes wrong and you have to wipe the drive with your user folder on it. The Library tab shows online content. Some will be free and some is available to purchase as indicated. Where content is associated with a plugin, it will automatically be downloaded to the correct location and does not need to be manually installed. You can purchase content, click the cart icon and the integrated FL Studio shop will open. For already installed content, click the magnifying glass icon and the browser will open to the installed location. Click the play button to play a demo of the content. Free badges will indicate free content. Click the download button to get a copy of your content on your drive. This will open the downloads panel from which you can locate your content as well once it's downloaded. The star tab shows your selected favorite files. Click the star that appears on the right side on mouse over, or from the file right-click menu to add a file to the starred tab. Click the star again to unfavorite. And that's all of the functions in the FL Studio browser as of the making of this video. Of course, this may change in the future, but for now, if you've made it this far, you should be up to speed on what you can do in the FL Studio browser and how you can manage your files and folders to appear as you want. Don't forget to check out the video information for our context-sensitive manual page on the browser and the background music projects we used in this tutorial. Happy music making!